Here, I know a really good way that is like one of my favorite ways to like I guess set the tone is like an icebreaker question.
Love it.
If someone made a drink flavor based off of you, what would the flavor be?
Okay, it's got to be something yellow. Like I'm already thinking like some sort of lemonade, probably with some sort of like something. It's some like variation of lemonade immediately. I don't know which whatever would like it kind of like punches you in the face a little bit where you're like, ah, but it's like, oh wait, no, this is good. Like it's very sweet. It's just like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that to be like that much. You know what I mean? I feel
Yeah.
like that is me. So some sort of like because I want to say strawberry lemonade, but that's just because I really like pink and yellow and I like the color palette. But I don't know. I don't know if strawberry quite is like if it's like really tart strawberry like that. It is fresh. It is like ready to go.
I like how you were like ready for this question. It's like I'm going into an interview. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about what drink I am.
Listen. I love it. What do you have? Do you have an answer for this?
It's either like a peach mango, just because I love
Oh,
peach
cute.
mango and I feel like it's
Yeah.
underrated, or just like a peppermint mocha because I live on coffee and I love peppermint.
Oh yes, very good. Very good. Very very holiday. Very festive. I
Yeah,
love that.
all year long though, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, but yeah, you want to like give us like a little tell us about yourself intro kind of.
Oh shucks. Okay.
Who's Lexi?
Hi friends, I am Lexi Nieto. I am a performer, I am an actor, I am a singer, I am an artist. I went to school for musical theater. I just recently got into voiceover because the people at Crunchyroll are really nice. And I'm very excited to be here. This is so cool.
I'm like, I can't stop smiling. I'm like so excited. I feel like it's good. All right, so I got like some questions that I wrote down just so I knew I
Let's
wouldn't
go.
get
I'm in it.
sidetracked.
Let's go.
Because so you've already mentioned you did theater and musical theater.
Yes.
How long have you been acting, or how long have you done like theater stuff?
Yeah, I auditioned for my first play. It was Beauty and the Beast at school when I was in the 4th grade. That was my first audition. The first like ever thing I was ever in on stage was Frosty the Snowman when I was in kindergarten and I was in the choir. Um, but yeah, I mean I just did like school plays up until like I think my sophomore year of high school was when I auditioned for a community theater for the first time. So I was just like, I just do the school plays because I like singing and I like when people clap for me. Um, so I didn't really start taking it like seriously until even when I was in high school. Like it was my junior year of high school and we went to one act competition. So we did like a little one act play in front of a bunch of other high schools in the area. And then a guy who I had like a talent crush on from another school that I was like, oh, I really want to be his friend because he's really funny and he's really cool. He came up to me after our show and he was like, you were so good, you were so funny. I was like, this is what I have to do with the rest of my life. I have this. This is it. I have to do this. If he says that I'm good, then well, shit, I can do this forever.
I guess he was right.
I mean, shoot, I don't know. Chalk one up to my friend Mikey, who I ended up going to college with, which is very like everything is very weird. Yeah, so I've been doing it since I was very small, but I didn't like actually be like, oh, I want to do this like forever until I was in high school.
It's not even on my list, but since like as a fellow creative, do you ever have trouble trying to like separate the hobby creativity with the work creativity?
Oh God, yeah. Like even still now, I struggle with like when people ask me to do commissions like for artwork. I'm like, I want to. Like that's very cool that you like my stuff enough to want to pay me to do this, but like I don't think that I'm able to give enough of my attention and my, my passion to something that I'm not particularly invested in. Like this is your thing that you really like, and like you deserve to have something really good by somebody who's really good at this and not I don't know. So and like not wanting to monetize all my stuff. Like I want to draw this just cuz I want to draw it. Like, well how can I make a product out of this? Like I've started making stickers and stuff and I'm really excited about it, but sometimes I'm hesitant to make something that I just want to do because I'm like, "Oh, I can't make a sticker out of this and sell it." Like, "Oh, that's not fair. Like you should just do it cuz it's fun."
So what's your like favorite production that you've worked on in musical theater?
Ooh, okay, good question. That's very
I know
okay.
it's hard. It's like picking your
No,
favorite
no,
baby. If you can only whittle it
it's
down to a
good.
couple, it's fine.
It's fun though, because I get to like reflect on all the really cool things that I've been able to do. Most recently, probably I had the opportunity to do my favorite musical in the whole world, which is A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. Not a lot of people know it, but it did win the Tony Award in 2014 for Best Musical, and it's so good. And if you don't know it, you should check it out because it's so good. But I finally got to do that, and I got to play the role that I wanted to play. And it was just amazing. It was also my first theater experience in Dallas, so it was like, all right, I'm here to do the thing. Here we go. And it was just amazing. The people in it were amazing. Kyle Ignazi was also in it. He does a lot of work at Crunchyroll too. And then Samantha Snow was our opposite female lead, who her husband Derek Snow is also does stuff at Crunchyroll all the time. So it's amazing. Like immediately the group of people I was in, I was like, oh my God, okay, we're here, we're doing it. And everyone was so kind and everyone was so into it. And it was so good. And it was a very good lightning in a bottle experience. And then this past summer, I got to do another show called Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. I know it's a shock how I got cast in that.
I was gonna say, wow, I feel seen. I need to see that.
Really. And that role was really, really, really fun. And it was actually a cast member from A Gentleman's Guide who was the director of this show that was like, hey, you should come audition for this. I think you'd be good. So that was how that all worked out. So it was awesome. It's just, so the past like couple years have been like, banging. It's been banging. So fun.
Would you say, like, because of how physically intensive theater is versus, you know, you're standing behind a mic, what would you say is like the biggest difference, as well as like the biggest thing that you like were able to bring over from one to the other?
Yeah. Well, physicality sometimes can get me in trouble because, you know, you make noise when you move sometimes, or like I'll accidentally like jump, but I'll be like, I shouldn't have done that. They can hear the freaking thing moving. Or like sometimes I come very close to clapping or something. Right. So that sometimes can get in the way, not get in the way, but like sometimes that has hindered me. And also volume is very different because obviously when you're on stage, you have to project, you have to be loud. So frequently they're like, hey, we can bring down the volume. Like you can whisper and we can hear you because the microphone is right in front of you. And I'm just so like, I'm not used to that at all. So I'm like, I have to make sure they can hear me. Like, no, you can like, and like, that's all you need to do. I'm like, what do you mean? That's crazy. But obviously having that, like, I mean, I am unnaturally energetic. Like I'm sure you could tell I have a lot of energy. But taking that, like, I obviously have to pump that up for stage. Typically with the roles that I play are usually like that, hanky, well, like the crazy, wacky characters. So being able, like having harnessed that and being able to channel that, I think has really aided me for wacky shows like Tomo, where you have to be loud and, you know, all of a sudden at the drop of a hat, she's screaming and you got to go.
There's a lot
I
of
love
yelling.
that. It's my favorite. Yeah, but it's my favorite because that's just me. It's what I do. So that definitely is for sure. Like being able to know how to harness that energy and being comfortable in a performance setting and knowing how to just let loose is so good.
Did you find it kind of challenging just because like how much of theater is body language, having to like swap to only relying on your voice?
Yes, when I first like was taking classes and stuff, like I still think that I'm not particularly like, I still have to hone that and I still have to get practice with that because I'm very physical on stage. Like when, you know, when people come see me, they're like, your facial expressions, your physicality. I'm like, awesome. I can't use any of that in my voiceover stuff. So it just, I don't know. It's just been fun. And like, I'm grateful to Caitlin who directs Tomo, like, cause I mean, she's the one who's like, hey, I can see it on your face, but let's try and communicate that just to how you sound. So I'm grateful for the externals who maybe if I'm not even realizing, or they'll play it back and I'm like, what the heck? That didn't sound like how I felt, but they can't see me. So it's still a journey for sure. That is still something I think that I need to work on and get better at.
So what's it like, or how much are you allowed to tell me about like the process of auditioning for, especially for Tomo? Because it was announced basically the same day that the anime was announced. So how like secretive was it? Did you know what you were auditioning for?
So I was in a very lucky and special situation. I was the first person cast because, as you know, for the trailer, it was just Tomo's voice. Well, and Carol, obviously, but that's Sally, so she was already, you know. So Caitlin, the director, obviously, I was working with her on another project, so I was just in the studio for another thing we were working on, just for like bit parts or whatever. And then she said, "Okay, hop out of the booth. I have a question for you." And I was like, "Caitlin Glass has a question for me? What is like? What a weird thing! What a weird thing!" But I was like, yeah, oh sure, no problem. What's going on, Caitlin? What's up? And she was like, I've been asked to direct the trailer for the show coming out. It is a very beloved manga in Japan and in America. Pulled up the Wikipedia, pulled up like visuals and stuff. she's like, this is the character, this is kind of what it's about, this is sort of the premise. Would you be interested? I think that you would be really good for this. Would you be interested in doing this? And are you available in January for when the show comes around? And I was like, what is going on? I just got here. Whoa. This is what the heck? Like, this is so kind of you to like think that I would be able to do this. Like, that's unbelievable. I've done a named supporting like 2-episode character for you, and then you're like, hey, here's this huge thing. Like, what? So I didn't know. I'd heard the name before, but I didn't like really know much about it. So literally 2 days after that, we recorded the trailer, and that was it. That was in July. So, or yeah, because it came out July. I think it came out July 4th. So
I think it was July or August. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, it aired at Anime Expo first.
That's
I think.
Right.
Yeah. And it was literally like that weekend. Like we recorded it on a Wednesday, and then it came out that the trailer came out that weekend. So the turnaround was insane. But she was like, don't like make an announcement or post about it or anything, just in case between now and when the actual show comes out, there's any changes in direction or whatever. I was like, okay, very cool. But they put my name like on the announcement when the trailer came out. They were like, the English voice of Tomo. I was like, oh God, oh God. It's like, we don't know. It was just for this. It was just a bit. But yeah, and then thankfully when, the show came around in December, January, we started actually recording it in October because like as you know, it releases the Japanese and English on the same day, which is obviously not the case for a lot of shows. But this was very special in that we got to do it way ahead of time, and we had Sally for both languages, so it was a very unique situation. And also Aniplex and Crunchyroll are the ones like making it, so it's like kind of our own thing. So we had a lot more control over it, and we have a lot more stuff we can do with it. But yeah, so it was a very, very unique process. It is not the typical, like, they go through the audition log, or they, had auditions for it. I was the only one cast until around October, and then everybody else, once we started recording, got cast.
Did you record like multiple episodes at a time, or was it one at a time?
Usually one at a time, just because Tomo has so much material in every episode. But sometimes if we would finish, like depending on what we had, because we were still getting it from Japan intermittently. But whatever we had, if we had enough time, we could just go.
Okay, it's very, very unique. In terms of like other stuff that you've auditioned for, do you usually like try to do like research about it if you're not sure about like what it is, or do you just kind of go like, okay, I'm just gonna walk in, they're gonna tell me, hey, this is what you're auditioning for, and then I'm gonna go for it?
Well, now auditions don't happen in person. They are totally like, you get emailed the sides and you record them at home and you send them in. Like that's all. Okay. That's typically all there is. Yeah. So depending on the project, like, when it's a big name, you're like, I should probably look this up a little bit. But like, if it's just, I'm like, oh, this, and even
I'm
still, like, I don't
B today. All right.
Yeah. I don't want to, I also don't want to like try and get too like attached to something, because obviously there's 4 million people auditioning for everything all the time. So I'm like, I'm going to just do this. And if they like my sound, they'll call me in. So yes and no, depending on the project. If there's a character that I'm like, oh, this is something I really think that I could do, like this is actually, I think I might get cast in this, then I'll probably do a little bit of research.
Yeah. What about like for theater on the other side of it?
Oh shoot. I know that I have to, because like picking audition material, because obviously with voiceover you're setting the sides, that's what you're sending in, is they give you the material that you're doing. But with theater you bring your own songs. So I'll typically have to do research on like who the composer is, what's the vibe of the show, what is the character I'm auditioning for, what songs do they sing, and what song can I bring that's similar enough to what this song is, but it's not just like a song from the show unless they ask for that,
Like, I don't think I'm gonna bring Disney in for like Phantom of the Opera kind of thing.
Right. It's like, unless you're bringing like whatever, like I'm trying to think of some like what Disney movie did they say, like Hellfire from Hunchback. I'm like, it could be maybe something, that but not, work, Yeah.
What was the hardest scene to record?
Oh man. Well, I will say, because everyone's like, how's the screaming? How's this? That is so easy for me. That is like, I have to fight not doing that, because I'm just so loud and screamy all the time anyway. I know that towards the end of the episodes that are going to come out tomorrow and next week, the last 2 had a lot more of like, Caitlin and I being like, okay, we gotta freaking talk about this, because this is like big. So taking a second to, hit those emotional beats. And the one with the fireworks at the festival, that one we took a little bit more time with too, because it is those more like thoughtful, reflective moments where she's not just like
she's down
crazy.
to earth too.
She's really like going through something, and we can't just throw that away of being like, oh well, she's just she's having anxiety, she's having these irrational thoughts. Like, no, she's going through it a little bit. Like we can't just throw that away. Yeah, I'm excited for these next two to come out because oh man, they're so good. They're so good.
It got me excited too because I figured because I don't know how things like work now, especially with like a simul-dub. So I was like, oh man, I wonder how far ahead of the time they do it. So I was like, have you recorded the last episode kind of thing? So
yeah.
Now that I know, it's like, oh,
yeah.
What was any like favorite deliveries from a co-star?
Oh God.
Or like one from each one.
For real, honestly. It's so hard because I'm so biased to Ricco because he is one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. Like the fact that this happened is just ridiculous and I still can't believe it to this day. He also voices Mirio in My Hero and is like, you can see on my art wall back here, I've got plenty of, and then I have a whole like Mirio shelf behind my computer.
The shrine.
The shrine, right. And then on like here I have like a bulletin board of like my board of best boys and it's like half Mirio. And he's just brilliant. He's so good. There's just so many. There like even like down to in the karaoke scene when he starts laughing. Like that I replay over and over again cuz I'm like that's or like the beach episode when the ice cream falls on her shoulder and he's like exploding with the scream is so good. It's so funny.
We had to pause and like replay that like 4 times.
Yeah, me too. When recording it, I literally was like laughing too hard to even like go on to the next line. It was so, oh my God, it was so good. So I mean, he's just ridiculous all around. Sally is also hysterical. I love the dun 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 with the headband. It's back home. That's hysterical. There's so many of hers that are just like so ridiculous and they're just flat like one-liners. Jade is Misuzu. Jesus, there's so many. I mean, you're scaring the rich people. Are you kidding me? That's the most ridiculous line ever. Oh, when Sally imitates Jade saying "I will ruin your entire social life" is so good. Oh God, there's so many. Oh my God, Kieran is Misaki.
I was about to say, like, I'm gonna inject my own here. The episode in the warehouse.
Yes, I was gonna. Unless that scene is unbelievable. Like to go when he goes from baby, little sweet soft baby into like, oh my God, it was so good. Like even recording that, I was like, no, play the scene. I want to listen. It was so good.
Like, because when I listened to like the first episode and like we got pretty much every single character, and I'm like, wow, Kieran like is fantastic. Every single character, I was like, they're really good. Oh my God, that sounds amazing. And then, but like especially Kieran, I heard him as Misaki, and I was like, that's really good.
Yeah.
But his tone is so soft, and I knew what was gonna happen later. I'm like, I wonder how that's gonna end up sounding between the warehouse episode and then the episode where Misaki confesses to Carol. I was like, okay, I wonder how those are gonna end up sounding, and he blew me away. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's so good, dude.
Oh my God.
He's so good. It was so good. And I have to say, Chris's Tanabe, I mean the first episode, the forbidden contact sport. So that's hysterical. And then Marissa and Natalie as Mifune and Ogawa. I mean, everything. It's hard to pick just one. It's everything they say makes me cackle. They're so good. They're so good.
It's a very funny series too. So it helps that like you're laughing along with it.
Truly.
I think it is definitely. It's been one of those series that, as an English speaker, it's been way better to watch it dubbed, because I'll watch both of the episodes right next to each other and I'm laughing more when I'm watching it dubbed, just because like the localization and translation is so good about like kind of nailing the.
That's Leah Clark, baby. That's our writer. Fantastic. She is so good. Some of the stuff that she comes up with is so brilliant.
Like I know like some of my friends were like, "Oh, did she just say bruh?" kind of thing like that.
All the time. Are you kidding? There's so many bruh. There's bruh for real, like all the time. And I'm like, this is how I speak, so this is perfect.
But then when we get to like the episodes where Misuzu's telling her like, "Okay, you need to talk a bit more polite or more girly.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that makes more sense if you actually translate it to a girl talking like a dude. So like if they just translated it word for word, then it wouldn't quite
It's a
sound
little
the same. It'd
rigid,
be
right?
like,
Exactly.
the only difference you could do would be like, oh yes, I'm being so polite right now. It's like, no.
Exactly. Yeah, there's several steps that a script has to go through, because there's like the initial translation, and then it's taking the translation and then adapting it into what is more natural sounding. And that's what Leah does, is taking the translation and adapting it and making it sound like we're just talking, and also fitting how many times their mouth open and closes.
Was there any like differences in recording because you and Ricco are such good friends? Or
oh my god, I mean, it was just special. Like, if I was coming in before him, I knew how his reads were going to sound, because I've listened to him so much and whatever. I mean, it's just special, and people are very kind and have complimented our chemistry and stuff, and they're like, oh my god, you guys, like, even Caitlin was like, you guys have very similar energy, which is, I think, the biggest compliment anybody could ever give me, because he's who I want to be when I grow up. It's just so I can't even express in words how grateful I am and how special that is to be, cast opposite someone who is so special to me and who is so freaking wonderful and amazing at what they do. It's been fantastic. It's very special.
Someone asks, who's your favorite character?
Oh, that's it's so, because I'm obviously so connected. This is like a whole conversation too that I've had a couple times. Things like any sort of media, it has always been, ends up being more so about the people than it is the content. So it's like almost always in any sort of media, my favorite actor is usually my favorite character, or like that'll happen where I really like this character, and then I end up being like, oh, it's because I think, like with Mirio and My Hero, watching My Hero, I was like, I love this character, and then I started watching panels of Ricco, and I was like, oh, it's because I would probably be friends with the actor.
They bring in the energy, and you're like,
yes, exactly. So it's so hard to be like just watching. I don't know if it's so tough to say, like, if I were to just watch the show and not have any involvement in it, I think Carol would probably be my favorite, maybe, just because she's so out there and like one-liner hilarious. Misuzu is also a fantastic character too, though. Oh man. And I love Ricco as June. I think June I wouldn't care for June in the beginning, but as the show goes on, I think he would really grow on me, and then by the end I'd be like, "Oh god, I him."
I must protect this boy.
I think that I would like to have him in my pocket. And then Misaki is I have something to say about all of them. And like I can't even begin to talk about Tomo, because I'm like, that it's my baby.
In like a magical alternate universe, if you had to play a different character, who would you want to play?
Oh man, I think I would probably do most well as Mifune or Ogawa, just because they're silly and like they could be like, I don't know what. Like I think like I know that I would have fun with that. It's just like uncanny how perfect of a role Tomo is for what I sound like, because there's not a lot of characters like this, and like so many comments online are like, I thought it was actually a boy, which is very good for like me getting cast as little boys, because there's plenty of little boys in anime, but there's not a lot of like, there's like, if it's a woman with a deep voice, she's usually like a warrior, like she is the head of the, the she's the badass lady, which I could sound like, but I don't feel like I have a lot more youthful energy, and they're usually like, with roles like that, they're like, can we bring the energy down just a little bit, or like, can we like flatten this out? And I'm like,
are you sure?
Yes, if I try very hard, I can. But to be able to be off the wall and yell like this, but still just sound like me, is like, oh my god, it's such a gift. It's such a gift.
I got into like a conversation on the internet a bit ago. It was like on Reddit or something, where someone said like, I think Tomo sounds too girly in English, and I'm like,
just like, you and like, nobody else think the same. Like,
yeah,
sure.
Everyone I've seen has been like, she sounds too much like a dude, and I'm like, you know
exactly.
What show you're watching? This is perfect.
Well, I was like, that's the point. She gets mistaken for a boy. Like, that's the whole thing.
Well, it's like you say you want like the tomboy is like your favorite character, but you want the tomboy to be like, ha ha hee, I'm just a tomboy. Like, come on.
It's like, she could sound like that, but this one doesn't. So sorry.
Have you noticed like any differences like before and after, like an improvement?
I think so. Like even listening to the first episode, I know that my confidence is more, um, and just the comfortability with the character and comfortability with the process and everything. Because like obviously in the beginning I was very nervous and I was like, oh my god, what is happening? Um, but I mean by week 13, like we're chilling. Like
Like,
this
yeah, I'm
is
Tomo today.
right. It's just fun and like hanging out with Caitlin and Helena. Helena's our engineer. Like it was just nice to hang out with them and play with them every week. Um, it was so I can't even I can't even put into words like how this is just so I'm so lucky. It's so lucky. It's so lucky.
How long is like the average recording session?
Depends on the episode, but usually I would go in for about 3 or 4 hours at a time. Um, which is because it is very much in my range and we don't have to do a lot of like adjusting. That's very fast for the amount of lines that Tomo has, because typically there's like a lot more hours that go into it.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's a very fast-paced show.
Mm-hmm.
So with when there's shows with a lot of monologues, like for example Ricco doing Blue Lock for like his spooky soccer player lead character, his sessions will be a lot longer for that because he's like, I have to monologue about the soccer mechanics. When for Tomo it's like, idiot, and then like that's it, we're moving on.
You have less room for like flubbing a line and having to start back over and that type of
thing.
Right,
with those chunky, there's not a lot of chunky monologues.
Did you have any point where you were like, I just cannot say this line?
Thankfully no. Like sometimes there were ones where I do a lot of, I'll be reading it and I say something wrong and I will say out loud, that's not what that says.
Voice actors can't read.
No, I was like, I should learn. I said, well, run it next time, run it back. So sometimes there will be like a sentence that trips me up, so I will have to take a second to like read it with every single syllable and consonant and like get it right, and then we'll go back and do it and it'll be fine. So thankfully there wasn't any that like really tripped me up where I had to do it like over and over and over again. Like usually it was like a flubbing, like just speaking wise, it'd usually be like maybe 2 or 3 would be like the most. Thankfully.
That was another thing I wanted to just kind of like just point on is I was so like vindicated watching through, especially that first episode, listening to the voices, how not everyone like sounded the same, but the deliveries were so similar, and I was like, I'm a good director.
Yeah.
It was
yes, absolutely.
Especially hearing June, like a lot of like I'd hear June lines and I'd be like, and then when we got past the stuff that I had covered, I'm like, that is exactly how I imagined it. Oh my god.
Yes. You've got good instincts. There you go.
Like I've got good instincts, and also everyone working on the official is doing a fantastic job. I'm just
they're brilliant,
like,
dude.
pat myself on the back and pat yourself on the back and
yes, very good. We deserve it. Yes.
Was there any like, I wasn't actually gonna ask this, but because it's like
no,
really
please.
chill, it was going into it knowing that, now I guess I say this with every series you go into, there's gonna be like a preconceived, this is how I imagine the character sounding.
Yeah.
But going into it knowing that there was like a chunk of the fan base that had a very set sound of what they imagined, was that kind of like daunting at all, or did you not know about it until it was like too late?
Oh no, I don't remember how I found out about it, but I was aware of it, and I knew, like I said, I saw how beloved it was, and I knew that people were really excited about it. And I knew that, like, the same thing, they were like, but this is our sound, like, and now we have to get used to something else. I wouldn't say that it was like daunting. I just like, I almost felt bad. I was like, because I get it. Like, I totally understand, like, having a piece of content be so special to you, and then all of a sudden, like, it's been with you for so long, and it feels like yours, and then all of a sudden, the official thing is like, well, they don't even know, and they're getting to do this. Like, I was like, if nothing else, I was like, I just hope that I'm able to do it justice and, like, show that I care about it, too, and I know that it's important, and I want to do a really good job for the people who already love it. Like, I know that this is so important to people, and I want this to be a part of that. I want everybody's performance to be able to communicate how important it is and make it good and make it applicable to people who don't know about it, and make it, to make it more widespread. So that way, instead of being like, this is bad, we don't need to like think about this. Like, this is special to a lot of people. So I think more people should know about it.
Yeah.
So it's like exciting and like it just felt important. Like it was something that I was conscious of, and it just made me want to do better even more.
This is so good to hear. Um,
Seriously though,
I'm trying
truly.
to be like so professional, and then I just
No!
I crack a little
Listen,
bit, and
I
it's
am
like
so
gone.
This is a conversation I have with my roommate a lot, like, because we have and always and forever will be like first and foremost fans of stuff. Like I am obsessed with things. I love things first and foremost. So you can be professional but also be like, man, this is so cool. Like there's no reason those two have to be separate. Like please be excited about stuff. Like that's like my food. That is my lifeblood, is to be excited about things. So it makes me excited to know that people who are involved and people who, do the thing are also really excited about it, because I think that makes it so much better. I don't know. I could go on. I'll get off my soapbox, but I love when people are excited about stuff. That's my favorite.
What are some of your favorite shows then? Like just outside of, the stuff you've been in?
Oh yeah. I mean, I love My Hero. I'm very basic.
I'm sure you'll get in there eventually. There's like a million seasons.
It'd be crazy. I don't know. I was like, give me, if there's a bit part where they're like, I love Lemillion. I was like, I'll do that. Let me do that. Soul Eater was my first like big love. Because that was actually when I started, like, because I watched that's the thing. Ouran was my first anime that I watched all the way through. Caitlin directed Ouran. Caitlin is Haruhi. Caitlin directed me. I was like, this is what is happening? What is going on, dude? But so it was when I watched Soul Eater after watching Ouran is when I was like, oh, I recognize the sound. That's this person. Oh, that's this person. And then that's when my illness started.
Yeah, I'm glad to know it's not just me. My dad did that to me.
Oh my god.
I blame my dad for mine, because we would watch like cartoons, and we'd like back when I was like 3, and he'd be like, "Do you recognize that voice?" I'd be like, "No." He'd be like, "Well, that's this person and this person." Huh. And so now I cannot watch TV without having like IMDb open on my phone going, "What are you from? What are you in?"
Yep.
Or
God bless BTBA.
Yeah, or I'll just hear something and I'll go, I know who that is.
Oh yeah, it's a game that I play with my roommate. Is that we'll start a new show and we'll be like, we don't even have to say anything. We'll just look at each other and be like, no. Like it's ridiculous. But yeah, Soul Eater is very special to me because that was sort of my introduction into the world of English voice actors, and then I ended up watching more content of like VA panels on YouTube than I did anime, because again, it was more about the people than it was the content. And I would go to conventions just to see the actors and like go to their panels, even though I knew all the answers to the questions because I'd watched all the YouTube videos. I would still just want to like see them and be like, wow, that's so cool that they do that.
Has it changed at all in the last year?
Well, right. And that's the thing. Like, I've been doing that since I was 14. And then I went to college for theater. I was like, I don't care about anime anymore. I do theater. And then I played Persona 5 and started getting recommended like Persona 5 voice actor panels. I was like, oh God, do I go back to my dark past? And then now here I am. Like, everything is crazy. Revisit your inner child. I think it'll do wonders for you.
Is there any, like ongoing series or series that hasn't gotten adapted in any way that you're like, oh, I really wish I could be in that?
Oh man.
I mean, I'm just manifesting, get you into
right. I do appreciate it. I don't know. It's tough to say just because I'm just happy to be there and I'm happy to work with the people. Like I said, it's always about the people. So I'm just happy to be in the building and be around the people doing the thing. I mean, obviously My Hero is very special to me. So to be involved in it in any way would be like, it's so cool and exciting. And I have such mad respect for Colleen, who is the director of My Hero. Like to just be in her proximity is very exciting because she's so good at what she does. I mean, anything. Like I've been lucky enough to be small parts of a lot of stuff that I watch. So it's like, what the heck? Yeah, it's right, exactly. I'll be watching it and be like, or be like, ew, skip this part. I don't, it's weird. I just want to watch it.
Do you have trouble like listening to yourself sometimes?
Sometimes, like for specific things where I'm like, why did they keep that? This is so
why they use that take?
Yeah, exactly. But it's very cool. Like I can't complain because like I'm like this is anime. What the heck? That's wild.
So we talked about like anime. What about games you like? Because you mentioned Persona.
Shoot, my favorite Persona 5. I love Ryuji. Ryuji's my favorite. And that's something too, is getting to say for real in an anime. I literally lost my mind so many times. I was like, because when I was just getting started too, and I just was like wanting to practice voiceover, I was like, I would love to play a female Ryuji. And they said, here's Tomo. I was like, oh my god, this is perfect. So literally whenever she said, whenever there was a for real in the script, I was like,
it's the line. She said the thing.
She said the thing. It made me so excited. So yes, I love Persona 5 because I'm a fake fan. That's the only Persona game I've played, but I love it so much. I played Persona 5 twice and 5R once. So that's like what, 400 hours of gameplay. Twilight Princess, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess is my favorite video game of all time. It was my first Zelda game. I know that's maybe a hot take, but it's because it was my first, so it's very special to me. And Midna is my favorite.
Yeah, my friends mock me because Wind Waker is mine because it was my first.
But it's beautiful. I have a little Toon Link plushie, and I have a little lunchbox from Phantom Hourglass that I actually used as a lunchbox when I was in high school. He's baby. That's a brilliant game. I love Wind Waker. I freaking love Wind Waker.
Legend of Zelda series to play Twilight Princess, but I hear it's
really
super good. I just haven't had a chance. I'm also notoriously bad at games, so
I mean, I'm not great at them either, but I just like them. I like the characters.
Any other ones like that, or
yeah, the Legend of Zelda series is very like I'm a big Nintendo. I'm a Nintendo girly. So I love Zelda. I love Pokemon. Pokemon was my first like series that I got into. Like I got Pokemon Ruby in first grade, and then it's just I've gotten all of them since. I love Animal Crossing. Love Animal Crossing. I have all Animal Crossing games. Shoot, what else? I'm like looking at my shelves, and be like, what else do I like? Those are the big ones. Like those are the ones that consume my life. Mostly. Oh, so I was a big I would love Sonic when I was little. I haven't played much of it as an adult, but I love Tails. Tails is my baby boy. Yeah, I was super into like Sonic Advance 3 and Sonic Adventure as a kid. Wow, that was my life.
Sonic Adventure, like DX Director's Cut, was
the
first game I ever beat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Because like I had a horrible habit as a kid of like getting halfway through a game and then losing interest, and when I'd go back to play it again, I don't remember the controls anymore. I got to start over from the beginning again and again.
And then it's cycle. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but no, I sat down and like I just played Adventure for like 2 days straight and beat it.
Hell yeah.
It wasn't my first attempt, but I did beat it.
But you did it, and that's what matters.
It was like once I got past the big levels, I was like, I at this point, I'm like, it's smooth sailing the rest of the way.
Right, clear. Like, I remember I was up until like, and this was as like an 11-year-old, so this was a big deal. I was up until like 3 o'clock in the morning trying to beat Skydeck as Tails. Awful. Why did I stay up that late? I was a child. Don't do that to yourself. But I Skydeck will forever be like the music of it. Even still, I'm like, ugh.
It's like oh, something in the back of my head's like danger.
Exactly. Like the hairs stand up, and I'm like, what's happening?
It's like I know a lot of people who Breath of the Wild. They hear the
Guardian I was gonna say the Guardian music. Yeah, yes, exactly.
And me too. Same. I'm the same. I say other people, but I'm exactly the same.
It's just
like
me,
fight or flight.
Exactly. Breath of the Wild, also a brilliant game. What the heck? I can't wait for the second one.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited for that. And I've unfortunately been playing a lot of anime waifu Breath of the Wild, aka Genshin Impact. And
like, go on. But I understand now.
He's like, yes, I see. And every time I introduce it to a friend, they're like, this is just anime Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, that's what people have described it as to me too. Yeah.
That's one thing I'm excited to see, like, just so much. I know the next convention I get to, there's going to be Tomo art. There's going to be Tomo merch. I'm so excited.
And that to me, the Nendoroid. Did you see the Nendoroid?
I saw the Nendoroid. I'm so excited.
I was like, this is fake. My life is fake. That's right, exactly. I was like, this is so, what is happening right now? Like it's so wild.
It's gonna go live and my bank account's gonna like already be in the negative, and I'm gonna be like, that's just too bad. I'm gonna have to get it anyway.
Yeah, it's I can't even like, I am excited. Like I can't even imagine like walking around con floor because I do that. I go to cons and I just hang out. I get the artwork. I have my little art wall. So to have that's just so it's whack. Like Ricco, he at My Hero Con at the beginning of February, he printed out the picture that I made with the cherry blossom background of like the actual photo of us, like doing the little fist bump thing from the first episode, and he printed them out and sold them at the convention. I was like, "What are you doing?" But people had been asking about it apparently.
Right?
Yeah, and at that con, somebody brought a poster that they had been handing out at Anime NYC and Anime Frontier, and asked me to sign it. So I was like, "This is, oh my god, this is so weird. This is so like
being on the other side of like the
yes,
convention table."
yes, it's so wild. So like, and having people be like, when are you guesting?" I was like, "Bro, I don't know. I come to these things for fun. Like, somebody's gonna pay me to be here? Hell yeah. I don't know. It's nuts. It's nuts."
I was gonna ask how you met Ricco, but so it was for like you interviewed him for a project?
Yeah, I have my little Shonen Show tunes, which is voice actors who have training in theater to do performances at conventions, because they don't have time to be in rehearsals or whatever. Just I have a web page for it if you want to.
I think I remember seeing that on your Twitter.
Yeah. Because I just did one with Marissa, who is Mifune. So I have a series on YouTube right now, which is the virtual interview series, which is taking people who are guesting at conventions who would be interested in performing, and doing like a little mini interview and like a mini performance at the end. And Ricco was the first person that I had to do this, which is nuts, but he's the nicest person ever in the world. And he responds to everything. So I messaged him like, "Hi, this is my project. This is what I'm thinking. I think you'd be really good for this. If you have any interest, just let me know. Here's my idea." And immediately he was like, "This sounds so cool. This is so well put together. I'm in. What do I need to do?" So just whack. And then I ended up interviewing him after I moved here, and he was like, "Oh my god, you live here? Let's hang out." Because that's Ricco and that's just how he is. So we ended up meeting like 4 days later. We did an escape room because that's his personality, is he takes everybody he's ever met to an escape room. And then we it was him, me, and my roommate, and then we all went out to lunch afterwards, and we stayed there for like 3 hours. So like, he's just the best. He's just the best. And then I got to travel with him to Otakon because we did a Shonen Shotunes thing there. He's just the best, and we've just been buddies. And now Caitlin Glass is like, "Yeah, you guys have very similar energy. That's how I introduce you around the studio." It's like, she's like a female Ricco Fajardo. I was like, "How dare you say that about me? How dare you?"
I am not.
That's the
worthy.
nicest thing. I'm not. I truly feel like that. Like, he's just incredible.
Yes, that her.
Get
I
over
got
here.
another question. Cool, I thought of one.
Go, yes,
what
go.
was like your first experience like in the studio kind of thing? Like,
oh my god, I was horrified because I joined a Walla group, which is how I got in at all. Like, I got, whatever. So in my first ever session for still at the time Funimation was remote. So I didn't actually go into the studio. I just was with 3 people that I already knew. We were, hanging out. And we were in their like remote studio. And then for that bit that I did in that session, I got called into the studio like probably like a week or 2 later. So I had to go in by myself, and I was like,
do I belong here?
yeah, I was horrified. But now it's like I'm in today for bit parts stuff. So it's like I'm there, and I was there last night. So it's so chill now, which is crazy because it's been like almost exactly a year now since going in for the first time. So it's insane how much has changed over this year. Yeah, I was terrified at first. Like, everything was so big, but now thankfully grateful enough to say doing so much of it, I'm like, everybody is showing up to work and doing a job, and as long as you're nice and you have a good time, you're fine. You are fine.
That's so cool. It's just I love hearing the behind the scenes stuff of it too.
Like, that's my bread and butter. Yeah. I'm always in those like, oh, they got special features on the DVD. I'm in. I'm watching all of this. Oh yeah.
That, and like, I haven't really got to watch any like convention discussion stuff since COVID, so I was curious how things had changed since then. So it's curious to hear like between the Funimation Crunchyroll changes and then COVID changes. It's like, oh wow, it's like it's interesting how things have like adjusted, and I'm hoping that like the remote stuff becomes a bit bigger soon too.
Me too. Yeah. It's because they built the new studio that they're like, well, we have to use the new studio all the time for everything. But I really think, and especially with people who are working there now too, feeling the same way, I think eventually it'll calm down and start to expand at least a little bit, or at least like, you know, the networking aspect of it, of like people doing their own projects will be able to cast more widespread because they know people who have been in and out or whatever. I think it'll be good.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, because I know so many people from all over the place who are very, very talented, and it's like, oh my god, I wish you could totally do it, but you're like in Florida, or you're just not where there's a studio, and it's like, man, I don't want to move to LA.
Right, that's expensive. No way.
I try not to get like big-headed about myself, because
I totally understand.
So I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, she knows what I've done, she's Tomo. Like, I didn't want to be like, the last thing I wanted to appear was like, oh, I think I did a better job than her, or anything like that. And it's like, oh no, I don't. I think the opposite.
No, dude. Even still, I'd be like, let's talk about it. Like, you had a lot more time with it, and I would love, like, that's such a cool thing to like hear what, like, you like. How often do you have that where it's like, oh, we've worked on the same thing, kind of? Yeah. But like, and we speak the same language? Like, that never happens. So it'd be cool to like talk about that. Like, this character is obviously very special to both of us. Like, that's such a unique experience.
My husband Zach, he was telling me that I should draw the the Spider-Man meme of them pointing at each other. So the thumbnail is gonna be like two Tomos pointing at each other.
So cute. Oh my god, I love that. I
just didn't have the time to do it.
Right. That's so funny though. I love that.
But and that's kind of what it feels like. It's like, hey, yeah, it's like,
cool. Exactly. No, I love that. That, again, that's so unique. Like, not a lot of people can say that.
And that's kind of why I decided in the end not to stream it either, is because I was like, the last thing I wanted to do was like have it'd be a moderation nightmare, because I didn't need any kind of one's like better than the other or whatever, and it's like blah blah blah, and I'm like, because we can both be good, it's fine. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Like, there's plenty of one of the game series I really like is Danganronpa. And in the anime versions, a lot of the voices are different. Like, it's like the game has one actor and then the anime has a different one. They're both good. They're both fine, and they share these characters. And I know some of the voice actors are even like, hey, we're like both this person. We're awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, you're me.
It's so cool.
I think fans sometimes take it to like they try to make it a competition, and then you have the voice actors who are just like buddies.
Exactly. It's like, you don't need to. You can have your opinion, but like, I'm not gonna be mad about it. I don't care. I'm having fun.
I'm really glad that it's so chill, and it's so everyone seems to be like so like happy with each other.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Last thing you need is more drama.
Yeah, for sure.
It's always
for
something.
Sure.
You don't need. There's always something. You don't need to add extra.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being so cool.
Oh my god,
it's hard not to like kind of. Oh my god.
Amen. That's how I feel. I wake up every morning and that is what I say.
I think he's just trying to like flex or something. This is what happens. Don't marry a voice actor. Just be.
Oh god.
Because then it just becomes like this like constant thing.
Yeah. That's all right. No, dude, it is my absolute pleasure. It is my absolute freaking pleasure. Please. So happy to be here. Thank you again for having me. Seriously.
We'll come back in a year for like the 1 year anniversary.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I would hope before that, but we can do that too.
But you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much again.
Thank you. Of course. Of course. Go feed yourself. Get some good food.
Bye.
Bye, friend.
I think this new, like, there's a lot of, like, new people to voice acting lately in the English scene. And I think the fact that a lot of them grew up on listening to dubs and stuff like that, it has really improved it in the last couple of years.
For sure.
Like, thank you to all my members who have made this possible. And a special thank you to the Polar Bears, Schwarzlock, and Ben Journey. And the panda, is this name taken already? See y'all in the next video.